Welcome to the webinar, and I will be very happy to chat to you today to talk about construction site. I have a very insightful presentation prepared for you, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you will learn it from me, and I would suggest we start with our lecture today. And today we're going to talk about site supervision. And this is the last lecture of 3 webinars that we already had before with you. And generally, every project that you start would have 3 phases. The first one would be the design phase. That's where you chat with the client about the design processes. And at the end, you would have a spec sheet with the furniture, lighting fixtures, and of course your 3Ds for the design. That would be the finish of the phase number 1. The webinar number 2 was about construction drawings, where you also which you can also see in the recording. So my name is Vlada. I hope you by this time you already know this, or maybe if you're joining the first time. Hi, I'm Vlada. I have bachelor and master's in architecture. I worked more than 10 years in different architectural offices. Now I have my studio where we focus on interior design, and I have a huge passion for sharing my knowledge by teaching young designers or maybe even experienced designers, and I'm always happy to exchange the knowledge with you. So as I mentioned before, the whole design process of your design project structured by design proposal, construction drawings, and the site supervision. So today let's talk about site supervision and the things that you have to be careful of, and I will give you some ideas maybe for you to think of while doing and leading the construction site. So today we divided our lecture by 4 main parts. The first would be the preparation for site supervision, because of course you can't start the site without a very well prepared features that I'm going to discuss later in the lecture. Then the monitoring construction progress. I will let you know some tricks and some hacks that I use for my construction sites. The third part would be managing some changes and issues, and you can use for this the sheet, the spec sheet. And the final part of our today's lecture would be final inspection for the whole project. So let's start with the preparation. You have to know as an interior designer that you have to structure the whole process. That's what I'm telling about, what I'm telling on all of my lectures, that you have to be in charge and you have to structure the whole process. And before even going on site, before even starting the first day of work on the construction site, you have to have those points checked in your checklist. So you have to have an approved 3Ds, which you would have after the design phase, after the phase number 1. You have to have approved full set of construction drawings, and the final spec sheet, which would have materials such as tiles, parquet, and so on. Also spec sheet related to the furniture. A lot of furniture items have to be already chosen by the client. Let's say the bed, the sofa, maybe some art pieces. It's so important to have a very great preparation steps before going on site. And I would always recommend you to get those 3 first parts, written confirmation from the client that he's happy with 3Ds, he's happy with the construction drawings, with the selection of the furniture. So you can either get the sign and form from your client, or you can have a confirmation email, for example, from your client that he's very happy with your work, and now you can proceed to the construction site. Then you have to choose together with your client your general contractor or multiple specialized contractors. We will go into depth about the hierarchy of the construction site in the future in our lecture. And you have to have a project timeline already written and already prepared before going on site. So let's start talking about the hierarchy that is there on the construction site. If you have an architect working with the client, sometimes that's going to be construction sites that the client started first. Maybe they started the new build house, or the client started to do a huge renovation. So they hired an architect to do all of this parts for the for the construction of the whole house, and then somewhere in the middle of the process the client noticed, hey, actually architect doesn't care if I would want to have a green sofa or a yellow sofa, and I need an interior designer to help me to choose actually materials and finishes for the way of living that I want to have in this house. So in this part the client would text you and will hire you to be there to support the decisions of the architect for the client at the end to have a perfect house. And in those types of relationship, you have to understand that actually you're not in charge, the architect is in charge. And even though you do two separate work, you work on the same construction site. And because architect was there in the first place, he has more control of the construction site. All the contractors that he will have, it's going to be his contractor. It's going to be his part of the job that you kind of not, you can't interface with. And if you have, let's say if you have some 3Ds that you already did for the client and some interior design solutions were complicated, the architect can go to you and say, hey, this is so complicated, I never did this before, and I don't want to be responsible for your very complicated 3D or like your complicated design solutions. That's why this part you have to take care of yourself. So then you as interior designer, you hire some contractors who is going to work on those complicated parts of your design. But if your design is quite standard, quite okay, then you would generally approve this first with the client, and then approved version you would send to the architect. So the architect can also take your drawings into his drawings and continue working on the project. Then you have a hierarchy when, of course, you don't have an architect, and then you are in charge of the construction site. Then the client will hire you, will pay you, and you are the one who is responsible for the construction site. And then it's your choice to choose, for example, let's have a look first at the general contractor. So general contractor, it's basically the firm who which takes your construction site and hires multiple small contractors. For example, you have walls and you have drainage. So those two groups of people who are working on the walls, on the sanitary drainage of your plumbing of your project, that's going to be all bundled by the general contractor, and you would have only you have to talk on the construction site only with this one responsible person for all the small groups of the contractors. So basically, even if you go to the builders and say, hey, here's you have mistake, you have to redo it, the builders wouldn't listen to you, and they actually can't take your suggestions before they hear from the main general contractor of the firm, and he will say, okay, the interior designer said here we need to make a change and it's approved by the client, we can do this. That's why generally when you do your site visits, the main leader of the general contractor group would be there. You're going to talk with him or her, and all the issues that you see on the construction site, you speak with him. And the benefits of such hierarchy on the construction side is that it's actually easier for you because you're not responsible for the mistakes. You can avoid a lot of mistakes, and everything was going wrong on the construction site, the general contractor is the one who is responsible for everything. You would have less control over the construction site, but then you would have a confidentiality that everything will go actually on plan, and you're not the one who's going to deal with all the mistakes. But the negative sides of this hierarchy is actually the client would have to pay more, because generally those types of relationship require a bigger budget of the client. And then you have another hierarchy where you have a client, an interior designer, and multiple specialized contractors. That means that you as an interior designer will hire, for example, a separate team for building walls, a separate team for building a plumbing, and you have to coordinate everyone. You have to time everything perfectly. You have to overlook all the mistakes that they do. You have to be there more often on the site visits. You have to be into the construction site way more. And there's also some benefits to this hierarchy. I would say the biggest benefit is that you learn the most from this construction site, from those type of relationship on the construction site. And secondly, you would earn more money as an interior designer, because this way you kind of a general contractor and the client have to pay you more, because then you would have to do more activities on the construction site. But you have to understand that you have to know everything, how to build it, how to do it. And if you have some issues on the construction site, you have to know how to deal with them. The last very important part is the project timeline. And of course, you have to time everything very nicely, correctly, especially if you're dealing with the multiple contractors. So your construction site would go smoothly without any delays. And me and the team of the sheet prepared for you a nice project timeline. I shared with you my project timeline, exactly what you see on the screen. And then we have another template, which don't have any months, the colors, which you can edit yourself. And I hope you can also implement it into your construction site. And yeah, please just use it, just read everything. And of course, you can add or delete something that is not relevant to your construction site. But I hope here you would learn also something about the time management of the construction site. So we're coming to the second part of our lecture, which is monitoring construction progress. And this part, I would say, would be also very important, but the preparation and the monitoring, I would say they're both very important parts. And I would always recommend you to schedule regular visits, and the regularity of the visits to construction site, it's up to you as an interior designer to decide how often you're going to go to the site. It's either going to be every day, maybe it's going to be 2 times a week or 1 time a week. It's completely up to you to schedule it, but I would recommend you always to think about it before even giving a fee proposal to the client, because you have to understand it's going to be different fees if you're going to visit the site every day, or if you're going to visit the site once a week. And there are different types of how you can invoice your client on the construction site process. It's either you can give him invoices let's say every month, and if the construction site will be delayed for 1 month, the client has to pay you more, of course. Or you can give him the full invoice for the whole construction site, and you have to, of course, account for every hour that you're going to spend on the construction site. And while site visiting, of course, you're going to deal with the builders, with the contractor, and you have to know how to maintain yourself and how to communicate with them. What I always recommend you is to be polite. Even sometimes the things can be a bit heated up, but always keep your face, stay polite, because essentially this is the people who you're going to work as well for the next maybe weeks, months, and so on. But as an interior designer, you have to always know that you are in charge, that no matter how much more experienced the builders are on site, maybe they're even older than you, you have to have this internal feeling that you are the one who is responsible, you are the one who is in charge of the decisions, the one who is doing the solutions to some issues on the construction site. And Of course, if there's a mistake, of course, in the future, the client would call first to you. That's why always while talking with your contractors, with the builders, know that you're the one in charge. And I would tell you that when I just started doing some construction sites, I was I had a huge lack of confidence because I was the only one woman on the construction site, and 99% of the builders would be men. They would be bigger than me, they would have more experience than me, and sometimes they would think that their opinion overweight my opinion. And at the very beginning, I of course was shy, and I didn't know what to say to them sometimes if they give me some issues, some problems. That's why I have a tactic that I use right now, and I would also recommend you to use. First of all, stay polite, and then if there is an issue, or if the builder asks you something that you don't know the answer to, never show them that you don't know something. What I always do, and I ask for their solution. If they say, hey, there is a problem, then I would ask, okay, what's your solution? I'm very happy to hear your advice on the problem. So essentially what you do, you show that you respect them, that you listen to them, but then you give yourself a bit of time to think your next answer, so to think your next sentence. And then while they're telling their solution, and if by the end of their solution you still don't know the solution to the problem, you maybe want a bit of more time, always tell them, thank you very much for your solution. Let me think about it. I will get back to you shortly. And the shortly could be end of the day, could be next day. I typically take a day to think about the problem. And it happens with everyone, if I don't know the solution, I would Google it. I maybe talk with a more experienced architect, with more experienced interior designer. I would pay them an hourly rate, but I will ask their advice. And then on the next day, I would come back to my construction site, and I would tell hey, there is a solution that I came up with. This way you look very professional, you look very confident, and everyone of course respects you as interior designer on site. Then you always have to compare your work against not your work, but the work of the builders against drawings and specifications, against your construction drawings, because sometimes it's could be very small, stupid things. You think it's so obvious. You think, hey, I already have this on the construction drawing. I did it 2 times. I showed this even in the detail how it's going to work, and the builders would still do it wrong just because either it's a very complicated design solution that you want to implement in the construction site, or the builder thinks, I know better than this interior designer. I would do it my way. That's why every little detail, everything the builders do on construction site, you have to check, and don't wait to check, let's say, at the end of the month. Check every work that they do gradually. Let's say if they finished with the plumbing, go and check the plumbing. Go check if everything's working. Don't wait until you already have flooring, let's say tiles, and then you realize, oh no, something is not working in the plumbing, and you have to open all the floors again. That's why just don't assume they read your construction drawings perfectly. Don't assume that. Just go on construction site and check it by yourself. Next, very important part of the construction site is ensure compliance with quality standards. And here, what I mean by this is that you actually of course, if you are the beginner in this career, if you're just starting interior design, you wouldn't know how to do electric, you wouldn't know how to do plumbing, and what materials used for the walls and so on. But essentially, it's the beginning of your journey, and it's fine, because in 2, 5, 10 years, ideally, you would be the interior designer who knows everything better than the builders. So you also know how to do the electric. You don't have to go on site and do it by your hands, of course, but you have to know how to and where to lead this wire, for example, if you have this in your design solution. That's why sometimes people say to me, hey, what are you doing as an interior designer? This is just you're doing just pretty pictures. But actually, if you know, then you know interior design, it's not just a pretty pictures. As an interior designer, you have to be a little bit architect, you have to be a little bit of electrician, a little bit of the plumber, and so on and so on. So everything you at the end of your career, of course, you have to know everything how to do on construction site. And in case of the mistake, my main rule, and I want to also give this assurance to you, don't panic. Don't panic. Mistakes happens with everyone, even very experienced architects that I was working with years, decades of experience, they would do mistakes on the construction site. Sometimes builders do the mistakes. I think I never had a construction site that that was done without a mistake. So just believe in yourself and know that everyone does do mistakes, and this is completely normal in our job and our profession. But I also want to give you kind of the knowledge that you, of course, you will find the solution to every mistake. There is a solution. And let me demonstrate to you a small project that I did, and the mistake that we did and how we fixed it. So when we started this project, the client wanted to build the kitchen with one kitchen suppliers, and they gave us the measurement of the lower cupboards, that the lower cupboards have to be, I think it was 87 centimeters high in height, and then we could do our tiles. So of course, as you know, before the tile come on the wall, or before the kitchen come into the picture, into the apartment, the tiling have to be done. So we took the measurements, the heights of the kitchen suppliers, and did the tiles on the height of 87 centimeters. And then suddenly the client decided to go with another kitchen suppliers, like let's say it was very unexpected for everyone, builders, me, and then another company who does the kitchen says, hey, our standard kitchen is actually 92 centimeters, and we have this problem that we have this 5 centimeters difference, that our tiles is actually lower than the kitchen, and it's lower than the upper units. That's why everyone started to panic. The client started to panic. The client was like, oh no, we have to redo the whole tiles. We have to, I have to spend more money on buying new tiles, paying the builders to take them away, put them back on the wall. And as an interior designer, I said to everyone, stop, don't panic, give me some time, give me a day to think of the solution. So the solution that I had is we did this threshold, this junction that you normally do between tiles and the parquet on the floor. I added this stripe to the kitchen, to the tiles of the kitchen, and we just added another, because the stripe was about 2 centimeters, we added another missing 3 centimeters of the tiles on top. So this way the client saved money, because he didn't need to redo the whole tiles in the kitchen. And essentially everyone was very happy. So what I'm telling you, there's solution to every design problem. So don't stress, don't panic, just as I said, let me think about it. Tell to everyone, let me think about it. And then of course you will find a solution. And when I recommend you, what I actually do myself, if you think about it very hard and you know, oh no, I don't know, I don't have a solution, that the problem is too complicated, don't be afraid, don't be ashamed to ask help for more experience, either a interior designer or an architect. As I mentioned, what I do with my construction sites, if I have a very hard architectural question, I would I would ask my architect, the one that I worked with before, the one that I worked for before, I would ask him to have a sitting with me, and I will pay an hourly rate, and then in this 1 or 2 hours I will ask him all the questions that I have on my construction site, and I will listen to his opinion. So I don't be ashamed to ask someone who is more experienced than you, but this way you learn, then the next construction site would be easier for you. And then if you have some changes and approvals, you have to document it. You have to have everything in written, and it's going to make your life in the future way easier. And let's say if you are on site, one thing, it's easy if a client or contractor emailed you the difference, hey, we're changing this one, okay, no problem, you have an email, you have a written confirmation. But if you're on site, if you're there, if you're walking on site, and let's say the client say, I don't really like the green tiles, I want to have a red tiles in my bathroom, then what you do, you go back, you say, okay, no problem. You go back home and you do a protocol. You write, let's say, an email to both the client, and you can add inside, say, no, you have to add inside, say, the contractor, that today on this date the client decided to go for red tile, and you send it to everyone, so everyone would be in the same email, everyone would see the flow of the work on the construction side. This is very important because sometimes what clients or contractor would tell on site could be actually not what they think about in the next 5 months, and then it's very bizarre situation, but the client can come to you after the red tile is there and say, hey, I thought that we're going to have a green tiles. You have a design, you have 3Ds with the green tiles, why there are red tiles? Then you would refer them back to this email that you texted, their protocol, that, hey, 2 months ago, 5 months ago, you said that you want to have a red tiles. And now this is not a problem of yours. This is the responsibility of the client. That's why it's so important to just document everything. And now we're coming to the part where I'm gonna share with you the spec sheet. The way how we work with spec sheets on the construction side is that actually you have to have everything already confirmed by the client. I remember I told you at the very beginning of the lecture that you have to have confirmed material selection and furniture. So there actually all the main work is already done. You just have to be ready that there can be some unexpected turns of event in the construction site. Let's say what can happen if we go to one of the projects that I have here, and when you start the project, you can edit the project information in the sheet. You can add the image of the project. You can add the budget, the overall estimated budget for the construction site. You can choose the currency if you're not living in the EU or you're not using euros. And then, of course, you can add an address and then update, and you would have all the information in your project. Then you go into the project, and let's say we have a very bizarre situation that the client wanted to have, let's say the client wanted to have this chair, and then he confirmed this chair. You are happy with the chair, the client is happy with the chair, but then it's time to order the chair and the chair is not there, or the price, let's say before you check the price it was on sale and now it's not on sale and it's way too expensive for the client. So the client would say, oh no, I don't want to use this chair, I want to have something else. Then this is the last changes that you have to be aware that always happens on the construction site. And for the client to see the selection of the materials and furniture, which I really like about the program, of course, you have the picture, you have the name of the subject, you have the dimension, you have the material. Not to every client you would add the material, but sometimes you would deal with the clients who's maybe aware a bit more about the environment, and for them it's very important from what material is the product made of. So of course you would have the price, you will have the supplier, lead time, when, for example, if you order this chair, when the chair will come, and you will have a feature of you and the client can approve or reject the object. So let's say we have the situation that those chairs are not available and the client can't order them. So what you do, you go, for example, to see the link of the subject, and then the client said, okay, I want to have this chair. Of course, it's an armchair, but let's say the client really want to have this kind of armchair in the middle of the construction site. So what you do, the program, the sheet would have a plug-in into the Google Chrome. It's very easy to install, and there is an educational material that you can watch. And I personally install this in, like, let's say 5 to 10 minutes, and it's always there. You don't have to reinstall this plug-in. So then when you have this armchair, you add the clip image to your project. Then you categorize, let's say it's I would say it's a chair, and then in the name you can add, on the plus you can add the name. The name is nicely added here, and of course if you want to type something manually, then you would type the price manually. Everything you can type here, or you can add with the plus. You can leave some notes, description, and let's add this to the project that we're working with. And you have different spaces. It's going to be living room, master bedroom, and so on. So I will add this to the living room, and I click to the project. And that's already clipped. It's already there. So what you do, you go back to your project, and you wait until it's updated, and you would see your new chair here. So let's say, I think I also have the armchairs here in this project. Let's drag it to the armchair. I have it here, armchairs. And if you made a mistake of this category of the subject, let's say now it's not a chair, it's an armchair, you can, armchair, you can easily change it. And then for this lesson, let's say we don't have this chair anymore, then you would add the one that you selected right now to the alternatives, and then you can convert to main product. So then this armchair now is the main product, and you or the client can approve it. Let's say we're happy with it, we approve it. In the comments, you text it everything what you wanted, and then you go to quotes. And I feel this is a very interesting part, because I didn't show you this before. And in the quotes, you have everything that you approved, or everything what you moved to quotes. And what I really love about this feature, you have the overall budget of the whole project, and here the sheet as a program counts for you everything against your budget, so you can see if the price is higher than your estimate or lower, you have a little bit more room to maybe get more expensive, a bit more expensive decor or art, or so on. But here you have your sofa in your move to quote selection. Then if it's ordered already, you can move it to the ordered. Then you also can see the date. And what I really like about it, so you can easily type if it's going to come to your construction site a week from now, a month from now, maybe 3 months from now. Let's say we have 6 months from now, and it's already the program already counts for you when it comes to the construction site. Or of course you can add, okay, it's going to come on this date. You can add it manually. And if you don't have here in status ordered, you can request a quote. What I mean by this is that of course here I have the supplier, which you go on the website and you just order them. But sometimes you would have the situation that you would have a direct contact from the supplier, from the shop. So then as an interior designer, you would get commissions, you would get a better price for the client. But to connect with your supplier, you have to email them. So the program offers a nice way, a very structured way to email to the supplier of exactly this chair or sofa, for example. And you can add in the message, hi, can I get a quote for this exact chair? And here's their product, here's the link for the supplier to see. There could be multiple links, multiple products to make your and the supplier life easier. You send a message and you click send, and it's going to send via your email, and then you'll get reply from the supplier, okay, I can give you a better price than the selling price on this bed, for example. And then essentially you benefit from it, so the client benefit from it. And what I really love about the sheet is that it makes it implements the structure. And I think you gathered it already from the whole lecture that I had before. I really love the structure, and I feel that every design project has to have a very clear and good structure, because otherwise if you as an interior designer are not implementing a structure, no one is going to implement the structure. Clients wouldn't care about the structure. He wouldn't know that there is a structure for the project. The general contractors, they also wouldn't know that there is a structure. They would do whatever they want. That's why you have to be the one to keep a hand on everything, on all the processes that go on construction site. That's why instead of having a lot of emails about every chair, about every sofa, about every table, you can have everything gathered in one place. That's why I like to use this program for my projects as well, because everything which you deal with on the construction site, you have here gathered nicely. And you can also add here some floor plans, some details, everything what you need, everything what the client needs. It's going to be in the same one place, and it's going to be online. You can access it online, and the program is free, so you're not losing anything by trying it. And let's go back to our sheet. Let's say this is my project, this is my spec sheet, and I want to add a note. I personally really like this feature, and my clients like this feature. You would be surprised by it. I actually have clients that messaged here in this feature a lot. So me and my team have to keep an eye if she maybe added some comment and dial about the furniture selection. And here the client can message and you can message as well. Let's say here, of course, I message, same color with the table. It's a small note to the chair, but then the client can go here as well and take, let's say, I don't like the shade of the wood. And then you see that the client is not very happy with the maybe shade of the wood, then it's going to be easier for you. Okay, I have to look for another shade of wood. That's why everything is in one place, all the information gathered in one place. And there are two different views that you and your client can have the whole project. It's either you see everything and the alternatives relatively in the same size, or you can, if you don't really want to have a lot of information, you want just to see the selection of the furniture or materials, you would have this view, and here you would see only the main products, and here below you would have the alternatives of it. So exactly, here you as well, you can add some different naming, some categories, and sometimes you want to categorize your whole project, your whole spec sheet by the maybe selection of the furniture, if it's going to be chairs, if it's going to be tables, or you can also categorize it with the rooms, if it's going to be everything for the living room or everything for let's say kitchen or bedroom. So that's how I like to use the program, and I would recommend you to go and check it as well. So let's move back to the presentation. And after you have the spec sheet, after you have everything, the project comes to an end. We are coming to the end. You are very happy. The client is very happy. Everyone is very happy that that the construction site is coming to an end. And here there's the final inspection, and something that you have to be aware of. And when you finished with the construction site, when the contractor messages you, hey, we're done, we are happy with it, you do the walkthrough with the contractor. You don't take the client firstly, you go through with the contractor, and maybe you see some small mistakes, some small imperfections, and sometimes the client doesn't need to know about it because it's just going to take time of the client, but then you can regulate this directly with the contractor very fast and improve some imperfections. Then you would have you would have to check all the functionality of the system of everything what is on the construction site. And of course, I would recommend you to check everything after the work is done. Let's say the plumbers or the sanitary technician is done with the sink. Then you go on site and check, you open the sink, you check if the water is hot, cold water is right, if everything is working. And then when you have a built-in furniture, after the builders will build in the furniture, you would actually go and open all the doors and check if everything is working smoothly without a problem. And then I would recommend you again to check everything in the final walkthrough. You can do it by yourself. Of course, you have the key to the construction site. You can either do it by yourself and separate it on the different days, because of course it's going to be a lot of work for you to check. You have to check all the switches, if all the lighting is working, if everything is smoothly, if in all the sockets the energy is there. And either you do it with an assistant, or you have another team from your firm who is helping you to check everything, or you just separate all the work for different days. But what I really recommend you to just check everything very meticulously, that you know everything working smoothly. Then you would have to collect all the manuals and warranties for the furniture, materials, finishes, sanitary, toilets, bathrooms and bath tubes, and so on and so on. And you would have, this is like actually a picture from one of my construction sites. We're in the final phase when the clients already ordered all the furniture, and suddenly the furniture arrives in the same day. You would have the wardrobes, you would have kitchen, chair, you would have everything. You would have sofa, you would have everything in a different boxes. So you have to be either you are there or you have someone who's responsible for building everything, but you have to be careful that you collect all the manuals and warranties. What I also like to do, I like to collect it throughout the construction site in one big documentation folder, and I would give it to the client at the end of the project. I would maybe even take a picture for myself that I have this, that in the future if the client will lose something, I would have a picture of it. Again, it's essentially making your life easier, and this is a very nice touch by the end of the project to show the client that you have an expertise in this, that the client don't need to search for all the documentation if they have an issue with the piece of furniture. Prepare a package handover to the client. And what I mean by this is that you have to do all the 3Ds, the construction drawings, all this manual. You have to obtain this signature from the client that he's happy with everything. I typically have 2 documentation folders, one for me, one for the client, and I both sign on the both packages, and the client have to sign also on the both packages, that at the end he's very happy with everything, that there is no open issues. And again, this is everything comes together to the very important thought that I want you to listen, that I want you to remember, that everything have to be in written form. All the approvals, all the decisions have to be written, and you have to have them, and you have to keep them for the next years, because there could be a very complicated situations that, let's say, in 5-6 months a client comes to you and say something is not working, or I'm not happy with the design solution that we had, it's your mistake, you didn't tell me why it's not working. But then you can go back to the protocols that you have in written form, and you can tell the client, hey, here like a year ago you confirmed that you are happy with the design solution that or the design change that we made. And I had such situations as well on my construction sites. Then conduct a client walkthrough. I would say that's one of the very pleasant last part of the project, because here you're already happy with everything. You conducted a walkthrough with your contractor, you know everything is perfect. You can even decorate the project, you can even add like some pretty vases, flowers. What I actually like to do as well, to add a final present, a welcome present to the client. Let's say it's going to be a bottle of wine, maybe some sweets, because essentially we're built this way. We just remember all the pleasant moments in our life, and our brain just tries to forget everything what he or she is not happy with. And let's say, of course, for every client, the construction site is a horror, because no one likes to spend money, and no one likes mistakes and issues and this whole process. That's why in 5 years, the client would remember the nice ending of the project, that you are very sweet as an interior designer, that you give to the client a very nice welcoming present. Maybe he will remember this rather than, oh no, there was a mistake with the kitchen, as I showed you in the previous slide. Again, sign off. As I mentioned already, 2 folders, one for you, one for the client, both sign in, that you both are happy with the end, how the work has ended, and there's no issues anymore. So we're coming to summary. So to summarize today's lecture, I really hope it was useful for you, insightful. I hope you learned something today, or maybe you have your ways of the construction site. So to summarize, of course, there was a lot of insights that I shared with you today, but I have 5 key bullet points that I would say one of the very most important bullet points of the construction supervision. of the construction site supervision. So the communication have to be effective. You have to be in charge. You have to be very polite and respectful to everyone, very professional, but you always have to be in charge, and you are the only one who is implementing the whole structure to the project. Throughout all the phases, phase number 1, 2, and this third one, site supervision, you're the only one who is implementing the structure to the overall processes. Then secondly, regular monitoring. And again, the regularity, you're the only one who is in charge if it's going to be every day or you visit the site every second day. Quality control, you have to control everything. Just don't think that the builders would know because you just put it into the construction drawing. Sometimes you would get to know very interesting builders who would have a very strong mind of their own, and they would do not as you wrote them in the construction drawings just because they think they know better. That's why don't assume that they did everything right. Just go and check it. Then you have to obtain the quality control. You have to know that everything is working, everything's up to the construction requirements, up to your building codes of your country, and so on. Problem solving, and what I already told you, and I hope you are there. Don't panic. If you have a mistake, and mistakes happen with everyone, please don't panic. Just be calm. Say my favorite phrase, thank you for the solution. I will think about it and I get back to you maybe the next day. Just don't panic. To every mistake, there is a solution. And documentation, that you have to have everything documented in a written form, as I mentioned a few times today already. And I think that would be it. I hope you liked our webinars prepared for you. And I was very happy to give you these lectures. I hope it was useful for you. I hope it was insightful. Now, I would say one of the very important and interesting part is our communication. Question section, I already see here a message from Aida. Thank you for the tips. I'm actually in Morocco and I struggle a lot with structure. The clients change on site sometimes without telling. The builders act like they don't understand the drawings. What tips can you give for that? You're not the only one. Just know that I also have the same problems, no matter if I did this construction site, like let's say 5 years ago, or I do construction site right now. There are always going to be builders who pretend they can't read the drawings just because maybe for them it's going to add extra work days, or they think they know better than you because maybe you are a woman or you're younger than them. And there would be clients who are very chaotic. So if they see on Instagram very nice chair, and let's say you already have the chair that confirmed, you already maybe even ordered the chair, not you but the client, and then they see a very nice chair on the Pinterest, on Instagram, and they text you in panic or just like very strictly being, hey, I want to change the chair. But you just need to be sure that you're the one who controlling the client and the one who is controlling the builders. That's what actually the whole lectures was about, the structure of the project. And you have to know that you are the one to implement the structure. You are the only one to go and tell to the builders that, hey, this is not my problem that you can't read the drawings. If you have questions, ask me. I am there. I am here to help you to read, understand the drawings. You can have your drawing. What I actually do, I always have the construction drawings on site. I have them printed. I have a timeline. I have construction drawings printed. I have them on construction site. And if someone changes something, let's say the client without me is on site and changes something, the client always have to draw on the construction drawings, the changes, and mark a date. But again, this is the structure. This is the structure that I implement on the construction site. I would have it written at the very beginning of the construction site, and I will send this email together to the contractors and the clients that all the changes have to be in written. There is a plan on the construction side. If you want to change something spontaneously, please mark this on the plan that you change it, and then I can take it into the project. And again, I, as an interior design, implement the structure. I tell the client and the contractors that there is a structure, and if they're not within the structure, then it's not my problem. It's not my mistake in the future, because there is a structure. You have to be strong. You have to be very strong-minded, and you have to implement this. And everything comes with experience. You do this one construction site where it's completely, maybe will be chaotic, but the next one would be better. That's why don't be afraid, don't be scared away by this one construction site. Next one would be easier. So Anu have two questions. Let's start with the first one. What are the key factors to consider when starting and running a successful design firm? I would say one of the points that I focus right now, and I always tell my students, because I act as a mentor, and I have my students who is maybe starting interior designers, or the one who already have a firm and come to me with for an advice, that you have to know that you're not the only one in this business, and it's okay if you, let's say, you're at the very beginning of your way, and it's completely normal that there'll be plenty of firms who is ahead of you, maybe who have more experience, more projects, more better clients. You just believe in yourself. I would always say that a successful design firm comes from your ability to believe in yourself, the ability to believe that you can do this, that, let's say, right now you have a smaller project, don't be scared away by the bigger projects if they come to you, and don't lose a hope for the better, let's say. So let's say right now you have like the small projects, but then in 2 years you would have bigger projects. Just believe in yourself, and I always want to share this with everyone. You're not the only one on this way. Everyone, I was also unsure in the very beginning. I also didn't know what to do, but everything comes with experience. Just please believe in yourself if you want to have a successful design firm. Second question, how do you market your services and attract new clients? Oh, that's a very good question, and I love it so much, because 80% of my clients comes through Instagram, and I very much suggest you to be aware that the social media is such an important factor in your business that you can't neglect it. You can't think, the clients will see how amazing my designs and they come by themselves. No, the client will come to you only if you share your progress. And it's very important to understand that it's not the result that the client comes, not only the result, but also the process. They see if you're honest, of course, if you're honest with your followers, if you're honest with your processes that you have in the design construction sites throughout the design phase, the client sees that this person is confident, this person has projects, and then they will ask you, hey, can I be your client? So I would always recommend to go and actually be on the social media and have your social media presence. And one of my biggest advice for you, if you do the Instagram, let's say, account for your interior business, just please don't do this faceless accounts where you have only your interior results there. Those accounts is going to be thousands of accounts. The client would never remember you if you just post an interior. They have to be your personality. If you are afraid, let's say, don't be afraid to show your face, but if you don't want to, you're not afraid, you can show yourself from the back. You can think of the different videos, how you can make it, but the client have to see that behind the interiors, there is a real person that's going to help your client to connect with you better. I'm very sorry if I spell the name incorrectly, but I will try my best. So Harshika asked, I am in second year of a second year interior design certificate program. Could you suggest how can I supplement my learning, like resources, observations, any practices or habits? Thank you for amazing session. I really like that you enjoyed this. I hope it was useful, but the answer to your question is experience. And I will always tell this to all the students that right now going through the interior design courses, unis, and so on. In real life, all that matters is not your perfect grade, it's the experience that you have. That's why that actually was the way that I did as well. Throughout, it was hard, I'm not gonna lie, but throughout my studies, I would also have a mini job. I would have an internship in an architecture firm, and I would work throughout all my vacations, my holidays. I would have no holidays for years and years, because all my summer holidays, winter holidays, I would go and work. And throughout my studies, I would always have at least one day that I go to the firm and help to the firm. Maybe at the very beginning, I didn't receive any payment at all for the first few months. Then I received, like, it was very little comparing with the standards of the country. I was doing my bachelor in Dublin, Ireland, and but essentially what you have to get is a real life experience, something that you can add to your portfolio at the end of your study. So if you let's say you're going to apply to work to the firm after the end of your program, interior program, and let's say employer sees two portfolios. One would be of the student who has perfect grades. Their grades were like highest possible grades. And the other portfolio, but in the first portfolio, there would be no work experience. And then the employee sees the second portfolio. The grades may be median, like average. They're not going to be perfect, but this person would have 1 or 2 years of experience together with the studies. Maybe during studies you tell, okay, that will be holiday work, but then as an employer, I would guarantee you 100% he'll hire the one who has average grade but work experience. That's why please don't just think that you can get all the knowledge from the resources, from the books, from the webinars, from the YouTube. Of course, it's a good way to start, but you have to know that experience, that's what's valued the most in real life. That's why just go find the project, do the project by your own. Ask your family if the family would want to renovate a room. You can do it for free, but you would get a real life experience. So Chelsea asks, what do you prefer, using general contractors or specialized contractors? That depends. As I mentioned before, there are benefits and negative sides to all of the two hierarchy system. So if you're using general contractor, it's going to be easier for you because all the processes, he is the only one who is going to be in charge of them. He's going to control the deadline, the timeline, and if there is a mistake on the construction site, he's going to be in charge to check the mistake, to notice it, and to have a solution to the mistake. But the negative side is going to be more expensive for the client. Yes, but then if you have specialized contractors, the benefits for you as an interior designer, that firstly you would get more experience from the site and you would get a more payment, because the fees that you ask your client have to be higher if you have specialized contractors, because you would just spend much more time on the construction site. You, the one who is gonna have to be responsible for the deadlines, for all the decisions that the different teams doing on site. That's why I would always look at the construction site, and I would say if it's very complicated, if you think that it's really complicated, I would go for the general contractor. If you see that the construction site, maybe it's new for you, maybe you don't know few elements how to build it, but you're ready to try yourself, you're ready to give 100% to this construction site, then go for the specialized contractors. You would learn more, you would earn more, and then you would have a tight connection to the construction site. You would have a much more control over the decisions that builders do on site. Then Rika asked, unrelated question. I just started my university, but I'm already losing track of what the things I'm supposed to do. Do you have any advice on how to organize the thought that I'm supposed to do while also enjoying life? How did you keep track with your tasks? Did you use any app to track it? To be honest, while being a student, you don't enjoy life really. Well, you try to enjoy your life on the weekend. You try to enjoy it. Maybe if you go on a festival, it's occasionally. But if you want to be successful, as I mentioned before, it's so important to not only manage your studies, of course, but well, I would say if you're in the first year, yes, just focus on your studies. But up to the end of the first year, beginning of the second year, get your internship, get your real life experience, and your life would be so full. You would have sleepless nights. You would have weekends that you all your friends would go and enjoy their life, and you would be the only one sitting at home doing plans, elevation sections. But I I will tell you that it's worth it. It's worth to spend more time while you are young, while you have all this energy, all this drive. And think about it this way: you're not the only one there. If you have some issues with your studies, you can always go to your either your colleagues, ask how your colleague does this, or you can go to the teacher. Don't underestimate how much impact the teacher can give to your life. And if you struggle with something, those questions you can go and ask the teacher. You can ask the teacher what you're supposed to focus on, what the teacher thinks right now in your program, one of the most important subjects, let's say. But what I would always tell and recommend to everyone: focus on getting a real life experience that's going to be overweight all your grades at the end. Anya asked, if the client changes the decision on the final option too many times, then how to stop this process or explain that it costs an additional fee? Oh, it's a very good question. I also had a client that were very undecisive, always wanted to change something hundreds of times, but that's again coming to the structure. You have to be the one to tell the client stop. You're going to be the one telling, hey, you have a deadline in 1 week. You have to tell me the final decision on the tiles, because we have to order the tiles by the end of next week. If we're not ordering the tiles by the next week, if you don't have a solution for me by the end of the next week, then all the construction site, the deadlines will be missed. It's everything, all the builders who's already received their maybe prepayment, they will ask more fees. I'm going to ask more fees as an interior designer, because everything is delayed, and you have to state very clearly to the client that this is responsibility of the client to also see the deadlines, and also someday stop choosing. Someday it has to be happen. But also what I always like to tell the clients, because you wouldn't believe, but could be clients. I also had a client that was already, everything was already done. He was like very happy with everything in the process, and then at the very end he would go to the bathroom and say, I'm not sure about the color of the tiles, and everything was already done. He approved the tiles, everything was happy, and he was at the end, I am not sure about the tiles. So in this situation, you have to be confident enough that the tiles are very pretty, that everything working very well together. You have to be the only one who gives this confidence to the client. Even, let's say, even if you think, okay, the tiles are not perfect, they could be better, and the client sees this, you have to be the only one who goes to the client and tell him, no, I see the tiles are perfect. The tiles perfectly tie the whole space together. It's connected with the interior around the bathroom. It's everything tied so well together. It's visually pleasant. The shade of the tiles is perfect because of, and you give the reasons. So you're gonna, sometimes if you're not believing in this, you have to make it's very important, you have to make your client believe in what you're saying. You have to make your client believe that this design solution was right and there was no other alternatives. The one design solution that he made, that you made, was the right one. Because if at the end of the construction, if like in the whole process, somewhere you would show the client that you are not happy with the solution, or you're not sure about it, the client will press you. The client will be like, I'm not happy with it, you're not happy with it, why we choose it, it's your mistake, and so on. That's why you have to be the only one to be to trust in yourself, in your decisions, and to give this knowledge to the client that no, everything was done perfectly, everything is perfect. And then the client will believe you, because essentially the client sees you as the main person in the construction site. The client listens to you and you can change their opinion. So if the client wasn't happy about the shade of the tiles, and after your speech, ideally the client have to be very happy with the tile and saying, yeah, you're right, I am actually happy with the tiles. And then his mind will always remember the speech that you gave, and not gonna think, oh no, there's something wrong with the tiles. And I see one more question. Harshika asked, what kind of work opportunities or projects are there for a work from home interior designer freelancer? Actually, a lot. Just you just have to believe that there's a lot of clients in the whole world, and don't limit yourself for your local city. Again, everything comes from marketing. Everything comes from Instagram, and I have so much clients that are overseas. I actually based in Germany / Switzerland, but I have clients in US. I have clients in Serbia. I have clients in Ireland. I have clients around the world, and I never see the project. I never go actually on site, but I work online, and it's very possible. It's no problem for you at all. Just believe that you can do this, and see maybe and see how other interior designers do this, the ones who are working online as well. I was very happy to give you this 3 webinars, to give you these lectures. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna say bye to you. Bye bye.